you have any rehearsal tips? Like when someone sits down, I heard you mention a metronome. So you're using a metronome when you're rehearsing? What is that like?
Good question. So again, being a music major, I think like a metronome is probably built into like my body at some point. I've always played with a metronome. It's annoying. Everybody watching is probably like, oh, yeah, metronome. There's nothing more annoying than like a click, 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 click for an hour and a half, 5 to 7 days a week. It's rough, but highly necessary. You can really start to. Here's the thing: when we're practicing guitar, we're doing so many things subconsciously as well. We're not just doing like the physical actions and getting things moving. Subconsciously, we're baking certain processes into ourselves and not even knowing that we're doing that. So things like being out of tune constantly and playing through your stuff. Your ear training that is just naturally supposed to be happening is off. Same thing with your timing and your tempo and making sure that you're doing everything properly timed and executed. The moment you go and you start to record something with, a recording studio or a small home studio, they're not going to like you. It's just one of those things. They're going to be like, you messed up badly. So I highly recommend a metronome. But if you get bored of a metronome, like I do, I use something called Superior Drummer, my computer, as well, which is just, a MIDI version, a plugin for all of my Cubase and recording stuff that just plays drum beats and drum tracks in time, and you could speed it up and decrease it with the BPMs. And it's way more fun if you're sitting down and you're like, all right, time to play. That's way better. Like, okay, all right, I can just sit there and just slowly kind of get into the groove of doing. It's something to help. So if you get bored, look at some of the drum track companies out there. There's some free ones. There are some super cheap ones, but I highly recommend at least a metronome for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's like for those of you who have like an iPhone, the GarageBand app, like you can pull out a drummer out of that thing really great. Even on like that Mac computers, I think it's $5 for GarageBand, the actual DAW, the recording software, and they have their drummer, which is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good for a $5 program. So
yeah, and again, it helps with that boredom, man. It's nicer to sound like anytime. Here's the key: anytime you can feel like you're making music and you're making your practice musical, you're going to practice way more, and it's going to be a lot more fun.
And so I get a lot of pushback. So I played a lot of churches mostly, but I toured heavily for 12 years, and there was a transition for us into starting to our drummer using a metronome in his headphones, and then the whole band eventually getting into it. And it was there was some growing pains with it, but you do appreciate not overplaying every song with speed wise, because there's some songs that are just more exciting to play, and you naturally want to speed them up. And I remember we did that once and we listened to the recording and we're like, man, that song, were we playing that fast? Like, holy cow, that's too much. So now like I'm trying to get like everywhere I play, I would rather everybody be on a click together. And that metronome, yeah, it can be annoying at first, but it's your best friend. I say it's another member of the band. Like that's how it is.
Yeah,
if you treat it as another instrument instead of just the annoying thing that's keeping everybody on time, you really appreciate it. So
yep.
Yeah, awesome. So, Ryan, do you like to play fast, or like what is that? What's that like? You like playing, or is it? I know Petrucci does like a lot of really pretty chords and stuff like that, but is there speed that you enjoy doing?
Yeah, it's funny if you ask like specifically where I always end up landing. It's like I don't know, the 190 BPM to like 165 BPM. Yeah, I like speed. I like cheat codes to speed as well, because man, some of those guys out there are like tiring themselves out so heavily in the right hand when it's not necessary. Whereas people like Yngwie Malmsteen and Joe Satriani and all those guys are like just like no right hand and just like doing all the legato playing and the slurs and the hammer-ons and pull-offs.
Yeah, well, that's my next question. Like, so because you are a speed player, you can play fast and you enjoy it. Hey, thanks so much for watching that video. That was just a short clip of one of our longer Q&A videos. If you're interested in watching some more of those videos, then I recommend you hit the subscribe button over here. It's really awesome. Also, we got more videos over here, so check some out if you're interested in learning more about breakthrough guitar or advancing your guitar skills. Peace.